Hello, this is Linda Vettrus-Nichols, and do I have an amazing woman to introduce you to? Shelley Brown. Welcome, Shelley.
Hi, Linda. I think you're amazing as well. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. I receive that. Okie dokie. So the ability to really see is like, what? I mean, what are you talking about?
I can tell you.
Oh,
So
good.
many, many years of my life, I, like many people, really suffered from just dark thoughts, depression,
Okay.
what you would call depression and anxiety. And it's very internal. It's a very internal existence. It's like you're seeing through a lens of gray, but you're not really seeing because most of your focus is on these internal thoughts, these dark thoughts and
Yeah.
depression, things like
Right.
that.
Hmm.
And the way that I viewed myself was through this lens of darkness, not only my interior, but my exterior, and just saw myself through the lens of self-judgment, self-hate, and
Oh,
actually was really, really cruel to myself. And I don't
sure.
know really how I learned to be that mean to myself, but man, I don't know how we learned to be so cruel to ourselves to the
Well,
point.
filters from parents will have a
Yes,
huge impact there, madam.
that's very, very true. I learned from my mom that it was really unacceptable to actually, my messages were really confusing because I grew up during a time of very few feminists in my parents' era. It was just kind of the start. And my mother was like the only working woman. Everybody else's mom was a stay-at-home mom. So the message
Oh,
was really confusing because you had Mrs. Brady on TV and all my friends' mothers who were home after work. And I was like a latchkey kid at 10 with this feminist mom who I was in fear and awe of.
ah,
And my messages about what I was supposed to be as a female were super confusing. There were
yeah.
a lot of body image issues that because everything was really starting to objectify the women's bodies more than ever.
Yeah.
And I know that my mother struggled a lot with not only her self-esteem and her self-worth as a human being, but it manifested in body image issues. And so my self-hatred towards my body started at a really young age. And
Well,
I didn't feel like I had anything else about me other than my exterior. And so,
oh,
it was all the only thing that I could control was my body. And I spent years in an eating disorder, and I literally would leave myself messages on my answering machine that I would be cursing myself like, you are a piece of crap. You are the
wow.
most disgusting, horrible human being on the planet. Like, what? And it was just, I would look in the mirror and there was a little piece of my heart screaming, where are you? Where are you? I'm in here. Come find me. And
Hmm.
the exterior me would look in the mirror and be like, you're disgusting and you are just not suitable for life. And just, I mean, curse words abundant.
Was that to shame yourself out of, your eating disorder?
I don't know that it was to shame. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was to shame myself about it and to try to
Yeah,
shame myself out of it,
right.
perpetuating it.
Ugh, what a cycle, right?
Right, right.
Mm.
But yet, always this tiny little voice inside that didn't know how to come out. And I wrote this story not that long ago that we are the love letter inside the envelope. So
Ew.
yeah, many of us as women have received love letters, right? And don't
Yeah.
always keep them in the envelope.
No, mine aren't. Yeah.
Okay. Well, a lot of us do keep it in the envelope. And my metaphor is that the envelope can get coffee spilled on it. The envelope can get torn. The envelope can
Um,
get crushed. But it's really the contents inside the envelope that we care about. And
mm.
bodies to me are like that. This is the envelope that who we are, the essence of us is the love letter inside of
Mm.
this envelope.
Love it. You're so good at those analogies and word pictures.
It's hard because, you know, a lot of women, a lot of people in general, it's
Mm-hmm.
such an exterior because that's what we see. We don't
Right.
see the interior of who we are. We don't see the essence. We don't see the soul, the heart, the
No.
mind. And so we can become this one-dimensional physical being where our self-worth really evolves around how we present or what we think we look like.
But
And
really, what others think about us is kind of the worst part of it.
well, you know what? That's not even true. We don't even ask what others think about us. So we're assuming, we're making assumptions
Oh, there
about,
you go. I
right,
like
we're
it.
making
Yeah.
assumptions about what we think we look like to other people. And
Mm,
so all those judgments are created by us.
mm.
Nobody, and I have a friend who gave me advice about 20 years ago or so. She goes, nobody cares about what your ass looks like. And I use that as a metaphor for life. Nobody,
Nobody
nobody
cares.
cares. And yet we are so consumed with reflecting ourselves back to ourselves based on what other people are that we don't reflect on who we really are being, that self-awareness, that's real time
Yeah.
visibility into seeing ourselves.
Yeah. Great wording. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, and so it is about noticing where things are at. Like even in meditation, like you've talked about on another slide, another show we did. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about noticing.
Yeah, being present is really about noticing what's happening right here, right now. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't just mean in the physical world. It's noticing where we feel something in the body. We talked about it, you and I have talked about this before.
Yeah.
Every experience in our life and is a physical experience before we even think about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter
True.
what that is. I see your face before I think, oh, I'm so happy to talk to Linda. And I feel it in my chest, in my heart. And there's three, so that's the body sensation. There's four foundations of mindfulness. And the first is the body sensation.
Nice.
So I feel it in my heart before I even think, oh, I'm so happy to see Linda. And then there's three feeling tones: unpleasant, pleasant, or neutral. So noticing what that feels like. Okay, it's pleasant. It's a pleasant feeling. So again, I feel it in,
Nice.
it's a pleasant experience. Then the thought is, oh, I'm so happy to see Linda. So that's noticing the thought. So that's the third. And then what happens? Usually I smile and I'm like, hi, Linda, right?
Sure.
That's actually self-awareness. What's actually
Beautiful.
going on? It's noticing the physical. Now, let's say I didn't like you and you walked up to me and I would notice in my body, maybe I'd get tense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I would notice the feeling tone. That's unpleasant. And then the thought, oh, I don't like this person.
Sure.
And then the behavior might be, I'm going to turn around.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are actually, when we're present, we can notice all those things. But then what about maybe I'm putting you in an enemy image? Like maybe you made one mistake and I'm like looking at you with that enemy image, but I don't want to because I know that there's more to you than that one thing that you might have done.
Right.
So what if I want to change this pattern? When I notice the body sensation, the tension, that's a moment where I can notice that and take a breath. Oh, it's Linda. It's a new day, you know?
Uh,
Yeah, noticing that it's an unpleasant feeling. Another moment of choice when we're present to noticing that. Then the thought, like, oh, I don't like this person, doesn't have to be like I turn away. I have all these choices when I am noticing what's going on right here, right now.
very
And
cool.
that could be anything. And that gives us the opportunity to course correct our own patterns, to see things different, to change our own behavior.
Yay. That's a good one. And so tell me a little bit more about when you've changed your behavior.
Wow. I think really these patterns that we have, I mean, we all function based on our patterns of thinking. And, you know, a lot of what I've experienced in my life has to do with the way I've seen myself physically, because that was just something that was embedded into my psyche about something's wrong with the way I look.
Mm-hmm.
And I would look in the mirror and immediately have this automatic response like, ugh, my neck, ugh, you know, just visceral response about aging.
Oh,
I have this thing called new eyes. So I have this thing where when I go look in the mirror, it's like before I look, I'm like, see things with new eyes.
nice.
You know, see the entirety of who you are versus that one thing that you don't really like about yourself. So
Yeah.
being able to just kind of notice and widen that lens like you're a photographer.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I do a workshop and I'll hold up a mug and I'll say, what do you see? So Linda, what do you see?
A mug.
What about my necklace? What about my shirt? What about the chair behind me? What about the bookshelf?
Nice.
We do this with so many things where our lens is so narrow,
Mm.
so much more that we could be noticing. I see your window shades. I see your beautiful shirt. I see a picture behind you. I see something else, you know, but that I don't have my glasses on, so I don't know what it is. But I mean, I get to see so much more. And that is
Nice.
really seeing
Mm-hmm.
with a widened lens.
I love it.
And that helps us create change, right?
Absolutely. Because it's like, just because this is what I see doesn't mean that there isn't way more, right? I love it.
And
Yay!
no, people who are creative, people who are visionaries, I make art collage and
Oh, nice.
I don't know what I'm going to do. And I look
Yeah.
in magazines for a muse. It's the first thing that, oh, I want to make something with this. And I have
Okay.
no idea what it is because I'm just seeing one picture,
Yeah.
but I can't make art if I just stop there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I have to look through other magazines to see, you know, to really say, show me something and really look to see what's going to go with that image so that I can create something new and change that first image
Yeah.
into a whole different image.
I love it.
One of the things that's changed a lot with me is noticing the language I use towards myself
Oh, yeah.
and
Absolutely.
noticing other people's language that they use about themselves and inviting them to make a different inviting them to their own possibility of a different choice,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
especially because I was somebody who really did use a lot of negative judgmental horrible words towards myself.
Right?
And I laugh when people, you know, that are our age use the word old. I'm like, if you're old now, what are you when you're 80?
No. It's all relative, that's for sure.
So I really try not to, I try to remember using words that are life-giving
Mm-hmm.
and try not to use words that aren't. And I love
Absolutely.
like retiring the word paying attention and inviting giving attention.
Ooh, I love that one.
And
Nice.
I try to be really intentional about that
Mm-hmm.
one and also to not use the words, oh, I'm so old or whatever. I try to
Right?
be intentional about
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to go back and if someone was doing like work with you, because I believe the work that really sticks is the inner work we do for ourselves. And sometimes there's people that come along that kind of get it going faster or whatever. The all the things you were saying to yourself are saying that you do hate yourself, and bringing that up to your consciousness. Do you want to hate yourself? And it's like, yes or no, and then work with that. Does that make sense? Do you think that would have sped it up at all? Your inner work?
I think that I would have told you that I didn't care if I hated myself.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because that's a whole ball of wax right
Right.
there, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah,
And I
yeah, and
told you that there was absolutely nothing you can tell me to tell me not to.
yeah, absolutely. And when people
Everybody,
are doing releases in my work, sometimes I even have them release themselves, right? Chew themselves
yeah.
out and then do the I love you thing.
Well, Linda, everybody's journey is their journey, and there's a readiness factor, and we
Yes.
know when it is.
So true.
Yeah. So we can't necessarily speed up somebody's process as much as we would want to, as much as we want to love people well.
Yep. Yep. My second is I have recognition. I know what to do. I know what's wrong and I know what to do, that on the core passion assessment, recognition. And my second is compassion. So I just want to help everybody. It's like, oh yeah, no, not everybody wants to be helped. Right?
Yeah,
It's until we're ready to
I don't
make
know if
that choice.
they want to, right? I don't know that they don't want to. They're just not ready. But by the same token, any second, any word, any second could be a
So
possibility.
you're saying you don't think it's not that they don't want to be helped? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that they're just not ready and they're just not open to it.
Right? Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Very
I
cool.
don't I don't think people want to suffer. I think
Yeah.
everybody does wish to live with ease, and everybody does wish to experience lightness of being. And I think everybody does wish to have well being. Nobody wants to be in pain, physical, emotional, spiritual.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to live that way,
Yeah.
but they're
Agreed.
not ready.
Yeah. Yeah, and being open to that, and like Oleg Lohi talks about, the chapters, they might not be to the chapter of the book where you are, right? And just holding space for where someone is. And I add to that, like, we can be so far in a book, and when we change to doing something new or whatever, we can be way back in an earlier chapter, right? It's not like like school is set up. You go grade 1, 2, 3, you keep going and you arrive at graduation. Yeah, we can be in a different chapter depending on what we're working on, or depending on where we are in our life, or depending on what's going on in our life, and holding space for people who are, not as far into the book as we are at the moment, and remembering that depending on what we're doing, we could be like way back a few chapters where they're even at right now. Does that make sense?
Very much so. And something you just made me think of too is no matter how shitty things are, sometimes the familiar is much more comfortable, even if it's a shitty familiar.
Yeah.
So the discomfort comes from the unknown. And so I remember I used to feel like had 10 fingers dug in so deep, and I'd pry out one finger and it would feel scary, and I'd put that finger right back in. It's like, how am I gonna? And then I'd have 9 fingers and one finger still. I couldn't let go, even though
Yeah.
it was shit, because the free fall was so unfamiliar that I didn't know what was going to happen. And again,
Yeah.
it comes back to that feeling that having certainty, even if it's horrible certainty, is better than having uncertainty.
Yes, and that living in limbo drives me crazy too. Anyways, the another thing is people who are depressed feel like they're in darkness. This is the description I've gotten from people, in reaching out into the darkness for that help, for lack of better words, and then pulling back. So people seem like they're ready, and then they pull back. So
Yeah,
that's interesting too.
everybody's threshold for pain is very different.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Shelley. You are just brilliant, and it's really fun to chat with you.
Come here, girlfriend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.